Hello everyone, and I'm back with Heaven's Secret Requiem Season 2 Episode 4. Y'all, I had to prioritize school for a few days, but considering the fact that tomorrow's also gonna be a free day for me, I will have so much time on my hands to record and to cut the footage. So before anything happens, let's just go into this one. After the hot scene that we had between our character and CAIN, we talked a little bit with the priest, got a bit of information. Then we went into our room and someone dared to paint the symbol that we've been tracking on our door. In my eyes, that's war. It kind of gave off vibes from Teen Wolf Season 3 when the entire pack of alphas came to Beacon Hills and they wanted Derek's ass. So they decided to paint their symbol on his house in the woods to announce that they were coming for him. Hell no. They said they're coming for us. Well, let's see. In the footsteps of the Order of Initiates, god damn it. Especially now after everyone is upset with us and I just had this time of my life laughing my ass off. They actually have the fucking audacity. Episode 4, Footsteps from Behind. Okay. I read the bloody scrawl again. Scarlet streaks slowly dripped down the door. My own room suddenly felt unsafe. I'm sorry, in general, we are in a safe zone, sort of. This is a safe city or safe part of the city. And it is being patrolled literally 24/7. How did they get in? Doesn't that automatically mean that the person that actually drew the symbol on our door declaring war on us for digging into things that we shouldn't? Doesn't that mean that that person makes part of the squad? Not necessarily our squad, but doesn't that mean that that person is inside the city? Inside the safe city? What does this mean? Who did this and why? Are they trying to scare me? This doesn't look like a prank from the squad. At this point, I wouldn't put anything past the squad, but at this point, I'm just done with all of them. All of them, especially Anna, that had the fucking audacity to smack us when she took that vial away from Pylon. She didn't think anyone else could have done it. It was us. Because strangely, it's always us. When something negative happens, it's always us. Yet we can't remove ourselves from their asses because they need our help in order for us to translate the book. But the second something negative happens, someone dies, it's always us. Can we leave? The only person that never actually condemned us was CAIN. And I forgave Greg in the last episode. I kind of always have those negative backflashes where I want to shit on him. But I actually forgave him in the last episode. So right now, the only people that I can stand in this story is CAIN and Greg. The other ones can actually fuck themselves. Regret nothing. And that new character that actually showed up, I forgot his name, but he disappeared. We haven't seen him, but he was cute. A cold wind blew through the corridor, raising goosebumps across my skin. I would want to leave. Goodbye, bitches. If I ignore this, what happened in Rotkov will repeat itself. A mystery thread will take over my thoughts and I won't have time for work. I need to catch who wrote this and find out who they are. Expect the book is in the room, but it is in a suitcase which is locked, so it'll be hard to open and difficult to carry away too quickly. Clenching my fists, I took an uncertain step into the darkness. I'm sorry. Maybe this would be my petty reaction to that squad's attitude, but I would have left. I would have bolted. Of course, the risk remains with those abominations. But I would not actually stick around with a squad that actually punishes me for whatever wrongdoing is going on in the world. I'm not your scapegoat. And she actually sticks around. The only reason I would actually kind of put me in like this tough position where I would actually struggle to separate myself from the squad is because CAIN is there and they have some sort of leverage over the immortals. So CAIN feels the need to like stay there and carry out that bitch general's orders. That's like the only reason I would like want to stay. Greg sometimes switches, but again, I forgave him, so I'm not mad at him. He's like the only one from like the squad because I feel like the immortals kind of are like just in a certain way the scapegoats as well. The second that danger arises, the scapegoats need to come in here and like take the beating or take care of things. And if they don't, like something horrible could happen to them. So like the only one from the squad where someone actually has something to say is Greg, and he's like the only one from the squad where I would actually like go to talk. Then another one and another. Then I ran down the corridor, my bare feet almost sliding on the freezing stone. My heels hitting the floor painfully. I'm sorry, did she go outside without shoes? A turn and a flight of stairs, a small corridor, and then finally the door out to the courtyard. Is CAIN still there? I stopped near a column, not daring to run in the rain. It was hard to breathe as I looked around. No one was in the passages. No patrol, no soldiers? I think Anna said there was always someone on duty in the premises. The rain obscured the yacht and dense shroud, but I still managed to make out a dark silhouette. Without wasting time thinking, I ran out into the square after it. The thin fabric of my nightgown was instantly soaked and stuck to my body. Imagine it's CAIN. I have no weapons, no protection. All that remains is to rely on my agility. I'm sorry, in general, shouldn't she, like, have gotten herself a coat or something? Like, I love to be in the rain. I'm not gonna lie. I love to be in the rain. Like, getting soaked and whatever, I don't care. Like, I love to feel like the water just coming down on me. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel things. But still, get a jacket or something. At least something. The outline of the figure began to sharpen as if the person had stopped trying to get away. I slowed down to a walk. As I approached, the dark silhouette became taller and more crooked. The half-dry branches of an old tree finally appeared ahead, occasionally trembling in the wind. I felt annoyed and relieved at the same time. It's just a tree. I wasted my time. I don't think so. I curled my lips in disappointment and clenched my fists, trying to suppress my dissatisfaction with my own stupidity. If there's no one here, then whoever vandalized my door didn't leave through the square. But then how? Looking around, I tried to make out at least something in the darkness. Rain lashed against my cheeks, got into my eyes, and dripped from my nose. Without thinking about where I was, I tiredly sat down on the edge of the fountain. Bowing my head, I noticed a flickering light in a puddle, and I raised my head. A light was on in one of the windows across from me. I think the guy said there was a gym somewhere around here, which means Greg's room is also there. He might still be training. Just then, a voice spoke beside me. I shrank in surprise. Why is he here? Y'all. I mean, he hasn't said anything. But to like read the narration where it was like the entire squad looked at us in anger, he is included in that. So fuck off, Dimitri. He looks so good. Like, I need to put it in here, but again, I don't fall in love with the face. I fall in love with your personality. His personality sucks.
Simona, what are you doing here?
The general looked at my bare feet and soaked through nightgown, which barely covered my hips.
You're all wet.
Ah, thank you, Captain Obvious. The general frowned and looked around. He seemed to quickly realize that only something serious would have made me come out into the rain at night.
What happened to you?
You actually think I'm gonna tell you? Without waiting for an answer, he quickly took off his coat and threw it over my shoulder. Again, this story... desperate. This story is fucking desperate. But what I'm gonna tell you, I know how to appreciate someone's attitude. I appreciate what you did there, Dimitri. I looked into the darkness ahead and answered with trembling lips. Someone left the order symbol on my door. I wanted to catch them, but I failed. Why is there no one on guard duty? Did you see anything? Maybe we can still catch them. There is no one here, babe. Why is there no one on guard duty? That, though. Where are they? Isn't the entire city guarded by the military? Adam especially?
Good question.
I'm sorry if something so insanely horrible happened. Why was no one notified? Or did they think that we weren't important enough to know that there is an evacuation happening?
The patrol should have been here. I saw the lights before I noticed you. Their attention might have been drawn somewhere else on purpose.
Dimitri looked at me, adding more softly.
But there is nothing to worry about. Almost everyone here knows each other, and new people are closely watched. We'll find whoever did this.
I think he's just saying that to reassure me. Dimitri knows that sometimes you can't even trust yourself, let alone others. And no one else lives in my wing. That's weird.
Let's take cover from the rain first.
The general led me into a corridor and sat me down on a stone ledge. I tucked up my bare legs and wrapped his huge coat around me. I'm sorry, this is cute. It is cute. He hasn't done anything yet, but still. No, I'm not forgiving them for what they did. No. I thought he wouldn't even look in my direction after the incident with Pylon. But Dimitri's acting like he usually does, not pressuring me with guilt, at least for now. That, though, that's always in our mind, at least for now. This is just the calm before the storm. And I hate that. Like, you know that you will never get warm with someone when you always have the feeling that they will be back on your tail. The second things shouldn't look good. I sniffled and looked at him. What's the point of having guards on duty who aren't even there when you need them? The military should have seen whoever wrote on my door.
Everything always happens at the wrong time. Or it's a setup. Donovan gave you one of the best rooms. It has electricity and running water on the floor.
The general sighed and massaged the bridge of his nose, starting to think out loud.
I was wondering about insisting on the barracks. Should I have? But those conditions. No, our own people would eat you alive there.
Raising his head, Dimitri looked tiredly at the sky. Or people would eat you in there? Pardon? The moon peeked out from behind the dark clouds for just a second. They're all just petty. A glow washed over the general's face and disappeared.
I'll talk to Anne and Kid in the morning. One of them should move in with you.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I would rather be with any men. At this point, y'all, I'm being sincere here. I would even prefer Dimitri. Because this man, at least he shows immediately that he fucking hates you. He immediately shows he's not trying to cover anything up. Anna, she's a snake. She's a fucking snake. And I could never get along with Kira after she actually dared to put something into her neck with that syringe. Like, I would even move in with Dimitri, y'all. Even with him. And he's the biggest bitch. Dimitri's words had a calming effect. I lifted my head up out of the coat and looked at him. What were you doing in the rain?
Both my shoulders ache from the bad weather. I couldn't fall asleep.
A scene flashed before my eyes of the half-flooded base and the infected looming over the general, squeezing tightly at his arm. Dimitri has gone through too many things lately. Are we feeling sympathy? I looked again at the dark silhouette visible in the center of the courtyard. The dry branches of the tree bowed and bent in the gust of wind. Now I can't shake off my anxiety. I'm starting to feel like I'm being watched.
Okay, let's not linger here. I'll take you to your room and then talk to the guy.
Okay, that's funny, because that's his way of saying he's gonna smack them around.
They had one simple task.
Period! What did I say? I can read people.
To sit and got the base, but they managed to screw it up.
Y'all. Oh, sorry. Standing, I looked at Dimitri again, then at the windows to the gym, and then at my wing. Let Dimitri see you off. Go to crack at the gym. Should I? Should I not? I think I should. Got a Greg at the gym because we need to start some tea. I don't think I should be alone in my room right now. I pointed to the window where the last was on. That's where the gym is, right?
Yes, I think it's Greg who can't sleep.
Then I'll sew with him. Are you going to look for the guards on duty?
Yes, I need to do so as soon as possible.
Then, General, take your coat. It's a short walk for me. Dimitri thought about it, then nodded and took it from my hands.
You better run before your feet freeze.
Nodding, I headed toward the gym. Damn. Following the light, I came to the base gym. Opening the wooden door, I looked inside. The room was lit by a few dim lamps. The smell of metal and concrete hit my nose. Usually no one turns on the overheat lights at night, leaving nights a little dark. But here it's pretty light. At first it seemed like the huge hall was empty, but then I noticed Greg standing by the mirrors. Ooh! Ooh! Fangirling moment. Wiping away sweat with a towel, he hummed something, lost in his thoughts, not noticing me. I froze, not daring to go further. My gaze involuntarily dropped to his naked torso. Can we blame you? No, we can't. Greg's chest was sweaty and his toned body almost shone. He was only wearing sweatpants, which tightly hugged his waist. Apparently he's just finished training. I shivered from the cold. Water trickled down my nightgown and hair dripping onto the floor, forming puddles under me. The dripping sounds attracted Greg's attention. He ran the towel over his neck and then slowly turned his gaze to me. The shock. His relaxed, slightly tired appearance made something inside me ache. We scrutinized each other, standing on opposite sides of the room. The rain continuously pounded against the large windows, trying to somehow fill the silence that had arisen. Greg's gaze slowly slid from my face to my shoulders, outlined my chest, then my waist, and greedily ran over my hips before slowly returning. I looked at my reflection in the mirror behind him. The wet nightgown hugged every curve of my body. I wanted to cover myself. Girl, too late! Noticing my awkwardness, Greg turned away. He whipped his chest with the towel and then pulled on a sweater. Sorry, you can stay like that. I'm fine. Finally, he slowly approached me. His face was devoid of all emotion at that point.
Simona?
He stood next to me and bent down, looking into my eyes.
I thought you were crying.
Oh. No, everything's fine.
You're what, standing barefoot in the gym, even though your room is in the wing across from it, and you say everything is fine.
It's so cute, just to see that he wants to know what's going on. Greg straightened up and walked over to his mats. He picked up an iron bat and asked coldly, Coldly? What are you upset about again?
What happened to you? Were you running from someone? Who was it?
Oh, okay. I thought he was pissed at us. Nah. He's worried. I was running after someone. Greg squinted at me, trying to understand my logic.
What?
Shifting from foot to foot on the cold floor, I muttered. Someone woke me up, whispering outside my door. They left the order symbol on it and wrote, I know who you are.
I don't understand. How did you get wet? Who was it? And why are you here?
I couldn't find anyone. I ran out into the yard right into the rain, and then I saw the light on in the gym. I pulled the fabric of my nightgown and pressed my lips together. After hearing the whole story, Greg lowered the bat and put it back in place. What? Was he ready to fight? He straightened his shoulders and returned to his normal self.
It's draft in here, and you're almost naked. Sit on the mats. Don't stand in the cold.
Walking over to the blue mats Greg pointed to, I sat down on the pile and tucked my legs under me.
Wait here for a minute. I'll get you a clean t-shirt.
He lowered his head looking at his body and then turned his gaze to my waist.
But I don't think the pants will fit.
Greg returned soon after. He handed me a clean t-shirt.
Change quickly.
Thank you. Will you turn around? He smiled warmly.
There are mirrors everywhere. I'd better just close my eyes.
This man actually just being completely honest, and I respect honesty in this household. Again, like, at least be honest. I prefer people to be honest with me. This way I know where I stand with people, even though it will be painful. Sometimes it can be, like, the truth hurts. But at least I'm not doing everything with my head, like thinking about whether you think I'm a good company for you or not, etc., you know. He's like, if I turn around, it's not gonna be that much of a difference. Like, there are mirrors everywhere. I'll still see you. So I'll just close my eyes. I nodded and stood with my back to him. There was a small zipper on the back of my nightgown. It wouldn't normally be a problem, but given the fabric was wet and stuck to my body, it was hard to take it off without unzipping it. Well, Greg, dear, be kind. Huffing and puffing, I tried to push on the stuck zipper and force it to open, but to no avail. Greg, sweetie, mind opening this zipper for me? Finally losing my patience, I quietly called out to Greg. Can you help me unzip this, please? Greg remained silent. Opening his eyes, he came closer. As soon as he was next to me, I felt the heat radiating from his body. This is like a strange combination. This man completely burning in flames because of his workout session. He's completely flaming in heat. And we are probably extremely cold because I don't know about y'all, but like the weather in Thailand is different than the weather in Germany, for example. Like, when it rains in Thailand, the weather around you remains the same. It's still gonna be hot as fuck. But in Germany, the second that rain falls, the temperature immediately becomes cold too. And then it will be cold outside. And not just wet. So this is gonna be something. I had to fight the urge to press myself against him, seeking warmth. Greg gently slid his hand down my neck, pushing aside the strands of hair in the way. He ran his hand along the hollow between my shoulder blades and picked up the clasp. Every movement he made stirred a response in me. His slow, intimate touches were exciting. Like, first we had a hot makeout session with CAIN, and now we said we need to have sex with Greg here. I can't. Y'all, I'm playing. It would explain why we had to pay 71 gems for this. My heart started beating faster for no apparent reason. He pulled the clasp down and slowly unzipped it. I thought he'd close his eyes again and pulled away when he suddenly laid his hot palm on my back. He outlined the exposed area of my skin with his fingers. A little more and his hand would have slid further under my nightgown, but Greg stopped himself. He's like, oops. Like, I need to stop myself. Like, I'm doing too much. Respect to him, though, because the second desire takes over, it takes extreme pure force of will in order for you to stop yourself. Especially if you're, like, impulsive or have a strong personality. Like, the desire or, like, the habit of wanting to continue to, like, put your will over someone else's is stronger than your reasoning.
Done.
Am I shaking from the cold or his touch? I think it's a mixture of both. I looked back. He'd closed his eyes and was waiting for my command. After getting out of the wet nightgown, I pulled on Greg's t-shirt. I looked in the mirror. His t-shirt was too big for me and looked more like a short dress. Cute! Suddenly the lights flickered and then the building shook. The windows and lamp trembled. Several glass shards crashed to the floor. I grabbed Greg, who was standing next to me, he hugged me, his eyes open wide, trying to understand what was happening. After a moment, everything calmed down. Only the lamb above us continued to sway from side to side. His embrace was so warm that I didn't want to move away. Oh, look how cute this is! What was that? Well, I thought I was going to hell for my thoughts. Ah! Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Honestly, again, same. Like, imagine the man of your dreams is there, especially like, and not that I'm like saying that if you are a little more, that you have a little more fat on your body than other people, or let's just say like the average amount, that you are not desirable. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But as we grow up in a superficial society, not that we can't just crave your personality, but we also crave your body / intimacy with you when we truly love you. Because there's like this desire there. We desire you. So if you actually have a great body, or we know that you will like not be wearing much and I will get to see parts of you that not everyone has the opportunity to see, then the desire to actually get that opportunity to be one of the few people to see you in such a moment is very high. It has nothing to do with like your body being perfectly sculptured or whatever, so I needed to clarify. Well, seriously, it felt like an earthquake. Not that we're supposed to have any. He looked at me and let go, letting me step back. It looks better on you than it does on me. This is like a sentence that I would pull, not gonna lie. I pulled this one before. Unsure of what to say, I forced a small smile and returned to the mask. Greg sat down next to me. Simona, are you sure you're okay? Right now, yes. Is something wrong? I just don't get why you came here of all places. I knew that you were here. Yes, because you were here. I shrugged. Like I said, this was the only place the lights were on. He says, bitch, I'm not stupid. Greg leaned back and put his hands behind his head. I lay on my side and curled up, watching his profile. My gaze ran over his sensual lips, then over his chiseled cheekbones, and finally settled on his large dark eyes. Usually there was a sparkle in them, but at that moment they seemed to be covered in haze. Beautiful. He really is beautiful. Like, again, I said it was not about his personality, that I said that he's a bitch. I wanted to fill the sudden pause with something. Greg, why are you training at night? Can you live without working out? I mean, I suppose it has become like some sort of routine for him. But I would be saying, why are you training at night? And especially, why are you training alone? I mean, there are people that love to like do their workout sessions alone. Because even though you are like completely trained and whatever, you can still feel insecure in your own skin. Like, this all has to do with like your personality or the like inner strength. So why are you training at night? I got into a fight with Nick and I needed to let off some steam. Greg sighed heavily and looked at me. Forget it, don't worry about it. No, son, you want me to tell you about my things? I tell you about yours. Then tell me about yours. He took off his sweatshirt and threw it over me. Nice outfit. Thank you very much. Maybe we should walk you to your room. I don't want to go back there. Oh, look at the outfit. I don't want to go back to mine either. Well, then let's have a sleepover. He smiled and I moved a little closer. Are you cold? He pulled me closer, hugging me. Cute. I laid my head on his chest and snuggled up to his warm body. Looking at Greg makes me think about Emma. If he finds out about what happened, how will he react? Will he leave the squad or the base? Who is Emma? Is my attention span short again? Who is Emma? Someone help me freshen my memory, y'all. I don't know who Emma is. Will he seek revenge? It's not in my interest to give him a reason to leave. Greg can be useful to me here in the squad. I hate this. He's a person. He's not something you can use. Like, God. No wonder that she's staying with the squad, because she has the same mentality. I'm interested in you the second I know that you can be of use to me. The second you're not of use to me, I'm throwing you aside and I'm choosing to look for someone else that can give me what I want. God. Besides, I have no proof that Greg's sister is dead, so I'll let him remain in the dark for now. Greg slid his hand under the hoodie and hugged me tightly. I don't feel like sleeping at all now. Look at the blushing. You can even see it through her dark skin, y'all. Through her beautiful, beautiful glowing skin. His fingers traced intricate patterns on my back. He seemed to get carried away, once again immersed in his own worries. When he stroked my lower back again, I arced. I felt his chest tense and he froze. I wanted to talk to Greg longer, but I was suddenly overcome with fatigue. Burying myself in his sweatshirt, I closed my eyes and fell asleep. You're awakening desires in Greg that he can't suppress. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe. Y'all, too late, I played. Now I need to finish what I started. Simona, wake up. It's already dawn. Was he sitting there the entire time with us? I think you'll want to go to your room before the entire base sees your adorable pajamas. Oh, that's fine. Let them know. Maybe someone will get jealous and finally grow the balls to claim his fucking territory. Sleepily, I got up and looked around the gym. Did we sleep here all night? Yeah. He actually stayed there with us and we fell asleep together. I am weak. Don't touch me. Greg stood with his back to me and dropped to one knee. Hop on, I'll carry you to your room. Love, Greg. I'm standing him. Looking at my bare feet and realizing I had no choice, I climbed on his back. He caught me under his knees and stood up. I wrapped my arms around his neck, pressed myself against his hot skin, and whispered into his ear, Thank you. His grip tightened. Then he bent down to pick up my wet nightgown and I grabbed it. Imagine he would have carried it. Imagine he would have carried it in his arm and then we are like slowly walking back to our bedroom and then suddenly the entire squad is like waiting in front of our bedroom. Finally, we left the gym. God damn it. My room looked exactly as it did yesterday. Greg examined the door but didn't find any new evidence. After saying goodbye, he hurried to the main building of the base, wanting to find out more about the unknown quake that happened last night. After taking out clean clothes, I quickly dressed and styled my hair. Leaving the base building, I headed for the church. I heard the bells ringing while I was changing, so the pastor had already begun his work. Ooh, look at this outfit. As soon as I spoke to him about the order symbol, it immediately appeared on my door. Strange coincidence. I need to find out if the pastor spoke to anyone about me. The sky over Oxford had cleared up a bit. The rain was no longer a downpour, although it continued to fall. The first green buds were appearing on the trees, and even the air smelled fresher. Now again, tell me why I should have chosen a different outfit. Like we are completely wearing something different. We're wearing something completely different. Why should I have paid again? My boots splashed through puddles as rain dripped on the decrepit black umbrella that I hadn't yet returned to the military. I must not delay. From afar I heard a voice coming from the church. It was sublime and piercing, both penetrating my consciousness and soothing me. Do not use penetrating, y'all. That word is actually making me want to play dirty jokes. That tone was characteristic of all priests, but Pastor Agape outdid them all. It seems I'm arriving during the service. Well, let us pray to Jesus Christ. Let's hope that he can help. Oh my god. Quietly opening the door, I entered the church. People were sitting on the benches listening, enraptured by Gabe, who stood at the altar delivering a spiritual speech. I'll wait until it's over. I sat down on the farthest bench, where the daylight barely reached, and listened to his words. Look at the sky. Clouds are hanging over the earth. The moon has cracked, and the rain is endless. What does this mean? What do the signs tell us? There was quiet murmuring among the rows. To interrupt it, Gabe shouted louder than usual. That's right. The end of all things is approaching. Nature is heading for decline and is raging. Great sorrows and trials have been set down upon humanity. Well, way to go to actually cheer people up, son. Be strong, my children. Only faith can ward off trouble. What loud yet empty words. Amazingly, everyone's listening to a Gabe with their mouths open. All these people only pretend to make decisions and take responsibility for their own lives. In reality, they aren't that different from the infected. They just all blindly follow those who have the strength to control them. This is the sad reality of society. If you have power, you're something. You don't have power, you're nothing. Like, not to rain on anyone's parade, but this is the same as, like, when you are famous. Like, everyone has a birthday, okay? Everyone has a birthday. And the birthday is special to that person. But a famous person's birthday is something extremely special. And it needs to be celebrated immensely. So, like, I don't understand. You don't have more rights. You're still a human being just like me. Why do you feel the need to show that you have more rights just because you have more money, just because you're in the public eye? You don't have more rights. Yet everyone that is famous, whether you celebrate a birthday or throw a party or you die, it's way worse, or the birthday is way better, way more important than the birthday of an ordinary person that is not in the spotlight. They always make such a huge ass deal about their birthdays or their death day, okay? And I think that's bullshit. Like, why? It seemed like the service was over when the pastor suddenly looked at me. It was almost impossible to pick me out from the shadows, but he underingly found my eyes. And we all better pray for the book of the apocalypse to be translated. Simon has our support and hope in this difficult mission. May our prayers be with you. Damn. Several parishioners turned to look at me following Gabe's gaze. Why is he drawing so much attention to me? That's putting subconsciously pressure on you, girl. I slid down the pew, hiding behind the backs of those sitting in front of me. He definitely did it on purpose. Of course he did. You came to him. As the service ended, the congregation slowly began leaving the church. I stood up and walked toward the pastor. Simona, it's good to see you again. First, I'll find out about the symbol, then I'll ask about what just happened. Gabe, tell me, did you talk to anyone about me last night? I don't recall so. No one asked about you, and I don't bring you up myself. You did just bring me up yourself when you saw me sitting here. Have you talked to anyone about the symbol? No one expects you. I can't understand why you're so interested in all. Does anyone else know about the symbol? Perhaps, but I don't know for sure. I've already told you everything I know. Why did you mention me at the end of your speech? I wanted to support your endeavors. Are you upset? I see a note of concern on your face. I hesitated, deciding whether to tell the pastor what had happened. Last night someone drew the order symbol on my door in blood, signing it saying they knew who I was. The pastor's expression changed. A wrinkle appeared between his brows. He stepped back and then placed his hand on the altar as if seeking support. That's him showing like dismay, frustration, depression. What news? Although it's hardly surprising. Rumors travel fast. It will be difficult to find someone who doesn't know about your position. I noticed that the church had become too quiet. I turned around and saw several dozen pairs of eyes staring like crazy at me. Get lost! Don't you have anything better to do? What's going on? The parishioners were frozen in their seats, watching my every move as if hypnotized. Hello? Unpleasant goosebumps ran across my skin. Me too, sis. I backed away, retreating farther toward the pastor. The people didn't move, but continued staring with interest. Don't you have anything better to do? Just then CAIN appeared and saved the situation. Ah, my man. He quickly realized what was going on and pulled me outside, bypassing the rows of church pews and the caustic glances that followed us. Something. My man. He stood only when we'd reached the corridors of the base. Turning back to the church, CAIN asked in confusion. Ooh! Sorry, that outfit is cute.
What was that strange atmosphere in there?
I don't know. At one point, everyone just stared at me like I'd said something unimaginable.
I don't think you should split off from the squad.
No, I shouldn't split off from you. The squad, that's a different thing. You and Greg. I'm fine with you and Greg. The others, they can leave.
If you wander around for too long, something's bound to happen.
CAIN's right. The guys know the base a lot better than I do. Well, son, if you don't want anything to happen to me, why don't you just stay close? He looked off into the distance as if trying to avoid looking into my eyes. The desire from last night is actually coming to his mind. He brushed the drops of water from his hair and then looked at his hands.
I came to see you last night, but you didn't open the door.
Was he there? Did he see us? Did he see us with Greg? I'm scared. I was dumbfounded, trying to hide the tension that had arisen. I looked at CAIN. I mean, what did I say? The more closer you get, the more someone seeks your presence. And I actually was saying that, like, please, CAIN, come. Because he was, like, next to the church. And the way we had left off things, in my eyes, considering the fact that I know how this man is, he's extremely impulsive. And he always does what he wants. And he goes for what he wants. He wanted to have us last night. We were interrupted. He had to stop himself, but the desire still was present. So, of course, he would, like, come to look for us in order for him to could finish what he started.
Did you go somewhere?
His voice was quiet and disarming, but his face, his expression was inexplicable. He knows. Sadness, disappointment, anger. Y'all, I'm scared. Yes, I woke up when someone vandalized my door. And later I met Greg at the gym.
And you spent the whole night there?
Oh, God.
With him?
Oop. Well, oh, God. Y'all. Don't skip the video. I nodded and bit the side of my cheek, thinking about what to say next. A radiant smile appeared before my eyes, and then it suddenly changed to a predatory grin. Oh, period. Let's provoke his ass. The feeling of warm, hot skin under my fingers was replaced by coolness of an almost porcelain body. They are like two polar opposite. Oh, God. Oh, no. I made a stouter feelings for CAIN. Greg is sunny and bright and CAIN is dark and icy. I'm sorry. As much as I love sunny and bright, in my eyes, dark and icy is more the way to go for me. And not because of any specific reason, but in my eyes, you can only become dark, mysterious, cold, detached from your emotions when you have a very, very pure heart. When you have pure intentions at heart, you always carry your heart on your sleeve and you always have good intentions for everyone around you. You always try to give everyone your light and then they take it, leaving you with no energy left. And then the next person that comes around, you still give them all the energy you have as if no one would have taken it away from you. Only a very pure-hearted soul can be like this because they actually become that cold and detached from their emotions because of the fact that they were that open with their emotions and people used that to take advantage of them and they hurt them to that extent where you as the pure-hearted soul thought it would be better for your sanity if you closed yourself off from your emotions. But the second someone gets close to you, that's like something I said in a reaction video. Someone that has never had the opportunity to love someone that has been made believe that they aren't worthy of love. The second that they get the opportunity to love someone, they love you with everything they've got. And that's why, in my eyes, I treasure those people more. Because those people are very rare. I'll lose both if I don't make a choice. Dad, the angel looked at me. A red light flashed in his eye. Oops. Well,
Have you found the white?
ooh! Oh, God. He's so upset. Yo. Oh, God.
Have you found the one who left the sign on the door?
No, it disappeared.
That's bad.
CAIN guesses that you've managed to get close to more people than just him. Oh, no. Is there an opportunity to make it up to CAIN? Footsteps were heard in the hallway and snatches of conversations reached us. I recognized Noah immediately by the strangled tone in his voice.
As if we're looking for the president, well, she'll miss a few news items. She'll survive. Maybe on the contrary, everyone just got on her nerves and she ran away on purpose. As if you didn't bother her. How would I do that?
Finally, they appeared from behind a column.
Simona, we've been looking for you all over the base. Donovan's got the entire squad in the library. She has an announcement.
I need to go, but it seems CAIN hasn't finished yet. Here, CAIN out. CAIN has priority. I looked at CAIN, waiting for his answer, but he just shook his head.
Go. I need to take care of something at the church.
No, CAIN! Aren't you coming?
No, I'm not really interested.
No, CAIN! My child, you, babe, you can't just leave me. You can't just let me leave. The angel walked out into the rain and soon disappeared from sight. Oh, he is hurt. He is hurt. Would we have gotten a moment with CAIN if we wouldn't have been with Greg? Oh no! We entered the hall in the middle of Greg's story. He was standing at the board opposite Donovan, gesturing actively, explaining something to the squad sitting in front of him. Noticing me, and without interrupting his speech, Greg smiled. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.
But the main problem is that
I think my blood pressure has gone up. Maybe just a little bit, I guess. Anna looked at me coldly and turned away. Oh, Anna, if you knew how little I care. On one side of her sat the general. The seat next to her was empty. Not wanting to wander around the hall under the glares of the others, I took it. I would have just stood there at the corner. Like, I would rather be anywhere but next to her. Noah and Lester sat in front. The rest of the squad was there too. Only Pylon and Nia settled in the very corner, clearly drawing a line between us even here. Donovan clicked her lighter, and I returned my attention to the board.
Do you know that earthquakes are rated on 2 scales? The first is death, the second one is strength. It can be weak, but hit us at the very surface and cause devastating damage. Or it can be strong, but hit so deep that the entire monument is absorbed by the ground, and we won't even feel the impact. That's not what you wanted to say. Don't go off topic. I lose concentration quickly. Amen, sis. Do you feel the shake last night?
Everyone in the room tensed up and leaned forward slightly. Only Donovan kept her relaxed look and mocking smile.
For a while I couldn't figure out what it could have been, but there was only one answer: Samsic activity. Only the short wave reached us. The epicenter was far away. Are you sure you aren't wrong? We don't have volcanoes outside our window. Oxford would sooner sink into the ground than start shaking out of nowhere. That's the point. We have no presecrated for seismic activity. However, it did just occur.
Greg turned to Donovan. His face was calm with a cold-blooded confidence that he was right.
You received a report this morning that one of the cities nearby has fallen. A sudden influx of abominations, huh?
Donovan exhaled a stream of smoke and chuckled. She paused, considering whether we were worthy to be informed.
Wiped out to the ground. No survivors. The creatures did a good job. I looked at Anna, who was sitting next to me. She flinched and clenched her fists so hard her knuckles were blue. She's so nervous. But the worst is yet to come. It's strange that Anna hasn't gotten used to it yet, but we have to hope for the best. Never hope for the best. Because you can always be disappointed. Always expect the worst, that way you can only be surprised in a positive way. We're here for the demon points. I thought this kind of news had become routine for her a long time ago. Putting aside unnecessary thoughts, I turned my attention back to Greg. I got some general reports on seismic activity in our region and superimposed them on the fault map. Do you know where the strongest quakes were recorded? In the very center of the cracks. And we're only finding out about this now. So over the past 3 years, no genius has thought of simple superimposing 2 pieces of paper on top of each other. It used to be unnoticeable. The quakes were too deep to be associated with anything. Everything changed after we returned from Rotkov. The quakes have intensified and are occurring closer to the surface each time. If this continues, the entire planet will turn into a powder keg. Ooh! We need to hurry with the translation, or soon the whole world will be overrun with hordes of abominations. Donovan nodded to Greg, and he sat down next to Lester. As she took his place, she glanced at us. Before she spoke, her jaw clicked and shifted slightly. I'm sorry, I need to add this in your ear as well. CAIN is the only one missing here, and it's not because he actually has something else to take care of. He needed time to actually blow off some steam. Because he cares about us, and he wanted to finish what he started with us. And then he found out that we were, together with another man the entire night. Even though we didn't do anything, we just fell asleep. But this man is you were with this man the entire night. So, he didn't want to go in there because he didn't want to, witness possible glances between us and Greg. My son. Well, here's some better news. First, because of the influx of people, a huge hotspot of infected is heading for Oxford. It's currently vacuuming up Eastern Europe, but it'll soon devour us too. It's growing somewhere out there while you're sleeping, eating, and staring at the ceiling. By the time it reaches the city, it'll be so big that it'll wipe us off the face of the earth in a single hour. How does that sound? I hope it's encouraging. I had some thoughts of stopping it and diverting it, but by morning it's grown so big that all we can do now is pray. Maybe a cryptographer risen from the grave or some divine intervention will help us. Donovan spoke with a bit of irony, but it was still clear that to some extent she really did hope for it. Second, Greg is right. One of the cities closest to us has been lost. This will affect us. We will supply special weapons there in exchange for grains, fabrics, and other sundries. In short, food will be tight now. She stubbed out her cigarette on the board and then suddenly looked at us in surprise as if she had just remembered something important. Oh, and one more thing. Someone took all the remains of Adam from the lab during the night. It's surprising that in all the time the base has existed, no one thought of stealing them earlier. Donovan shook her head in disappointment. I don't know when we'll be able to make another batch, so be careful. I feel like I've slept through something important. How could so much have happened in just one night? After finishing his speech, Donovan headed downstairs. She beaconed to Dimitri, Greg, and Anna. They all stood up and followed her. I looked at the general, who was walking next to his sister. Their postures and some special inner core made them more alike than just their blue eyes and dark hair. They were avoiding direct conversations. Sometimes it seems like Anna wanted to hit the general, but in the end they simply kept their distance, ignoring a topic that was difficult for both of them. The talk of the general being infected gradually died down, but it left a scar on Anna's heart. Oh, poor her. After all, she didn't just smack us. And it's unlikely to heal that easily. The squad began to disperse gradually, with everyone scattering all over the base on their own business. I wanted to ask Greg to find the address I need, but Donovan called him. Maybe I'll try digging through the information myself. There should be an old phone book around here somewhere. Having a plan was always the most important thing in my work. Without a clear foundation, everything else lost its integrity and slipped through my fingers.
Once I figured out my first step, I felt better and headed toward the oak shelves that reached the ceiling. Ah, Nick. Sorry.
Are you looking for something?
Nick appeared next to me out of nowhere, making me flinch. His eyes were wide open, so much so that he had a spark of madness. It's heartbreaking to look at him after what happened in Rotgov. The city killed his personality. Damn! She says he has no fucking personality left now. Nick shuddered and looked around. The man tried to control it, but he noticed with sadness that the others were still looking at him sideways.
They won't even let me scrub the toilet now. Maybe I can at least help you. I feel like a loser.
Oh, you are not. I didn't know if Nick purposefully wanted me to pity his situation or it came out of nowhere, but I nodded. He made it so I couldn't refuse. It's cunning and ugly, but effective. It's cunning and ugly. The main thing is for him not to get carried away playing the victim. Over time, the tactics stops working. I need to find someone, but I don't know anything about him except his approximate address.
We have a purchase of all the license plates in the city, magazines, clippings mentioning who ran what small businesses, and a list of relatives for people who live on the base.
Donovan has put together an excellent foundation for blackmailing her employees.
Will any of this be useful?
Yes, the license plates printouts. You got all the details from the pastor, and you remember that the man with the brooch had a car. Nick went to get some papers. During the time I found a map and scarcely managed to get a thick, dusty reference book from the shelves. Putting it down on the desk with a dull thought, I pushed back the chair and sat down in the reading corner. Opening my notebook to a clean page, I got ready to mark down what might be useful. After some time, Nick returned. Your relationship with the squad isn't very good. None of them wanted to help you. Y'all, again, I think this is hilarious. I don't need their help. I really don't. And the immortals don't count as part of the squad. I don't need Anna's help or the general's help. After some time, Nick returned. The desk lamp suddenly flickered and I suddenly taped it at the base, trying to get it to work. Surprisingly, that was successful.
This is what you asked for.
With Nick's arrival, the atmosphere changed. It became heavy, as if pressing down on my shoulders. I couldn't understand where the nearly tangible sadness and despondency was coming from. Was it from his darting eyes, his twitching leg, or his constantly trembling parted lips? I was pulled out of my thoughts by a conversation coming from the opposite side of the room. Ooh,
I'm guilty before Palan, be quiet. I'll grant the one who started into this.
ooh.
I'll destroy every abomination.
The angel sighed and leaned back in her chair. For some reason, the demon, seeing her irritation, fell silent. Were they ever this close? Anya noticed my gaze, hurried to stand. Encouragingly patting Pylon on the back, she left, leaving him sitting alone.
Yeah, immortals are always arguing. Humans come together, but they run from each other like scalded cats.
Nick, who was also following the dialogue, turned to me, expecting to hear my thoughts. I think now is the time to ask questions myself. Nick, I wanted to ask you something. After you disappeared, you appeared in one of my dreams. You asked me to remember something and then disappeared. It wasn't like a normal vision. You called me and showed me something I've never seen myself.
It's funny, of course, to hear such things about myself and not understand what you're talking about. While the monks were holding me, I tried not to sleep at all. I was either unconscious or biting my tongue to keep from dozing off again.
So it was just a dream? Did I dream of a place I've never seen? Replaying Nick's last words in my head, I asked wearily, why didn't you want to fall asleep? You're vulnerable when you're asleep. This is like... I said it so many times, I'm gonna say it again. Like, after I got out of the hospital, after a huge traumatic experience, I had insomnia. I couldn't fall asleep. The longest I could sleep a night, or in general like a day, was 2 hours. Normally, I would sleep half an hour, an hour and a half, but that was about it. I couldn't fall asleep because you're vulnerable when you're asleep. And when you are actually traumatized by something, or you are truly fighting with something emotionally, like something that is truly keeping you busy, the second you fall asleep, it comes to light, and you are scared of what those vivid images could stir inside of you, and you get panic attacks, you get anxiety. So you are scared to fall asleep because you know that if you fall asleep, you will be haunted by those visions, like by those memories, by those thoughts that you want to keep hidden because you don't have the strength to come to terms with what has happened to you or what you had to endure. That's why you don't want to fall asleep.
All sorts of things were creeping into my head. As soon as I closed my eyes, whispering and grinding sounds came from everywhere. Something would start pressing in on me.
What did I say?
It felt like someone had opened my skull and was slowly screwing bolts into my brain.
I think Palin said something similar in Dungeon. I wanted to ask you something. Were you tortured? Nick looked at me silently. For a second, his gaze became the same as I remembered when we met, meaningful, collected, and insightful.
You think I want to remember this?
No, but I know that silence can be endless.
What will you do if you find out everything? You only guess at the end and then say how unlucky I am. Maybe you should let me save at least a semblance of honor and stop pestering me with your questions. You, Greg, as if anything would change if I told you everything.
Why did the monks perform the rituals?
I had little and remember little. It seemed like they kept talking about sacred land Rotkov was built on, like it used to belong to shamans. There used to be some kind of bloody rain there, and the local people made sacrifices to the demons to appease it. They erected megaliths in the place where they performed the ritual. I think I heard that demons tormented those who had gone to heaven and spilled their blood on the ground. To appease them, you need to make sacrifices. Each of demons must be sated with blood, otherwise they will cut the place they are responsible for, an arm, a leg, a head. And the mysteries are needed to create a channel of communication with God, so the sacrifice will reach the demons. The one who started all this perverted the rituals of the shamans by adding his own. Then the monks were left without a leader and went completely nuts. I heard there was a time when Boris tried to stop everything, but you already know the consequences.
I became quiet, and Nick smilingly, reservedly bent over the papers again.
It's just the beginning.
What?
Huh?
Nick looked at me in confusion. You just said something about the future.
Oh, I just read the line from the book.
Nick lowered his head again, and I continued to look at him for some time. Misunderstanding, fear, and disgust swarmed in my chest. I wanted to get away from Nick. His whole appearance reminded me of what the others wanted to forget. I think the whole squad felt the same way, and he felt it. I didn't care about his situation, but I was irritated by the extra thoughts that came up when he was near. After several hours spent in the library, we finally had a lead. It seemed that only old couples who rarely left the city and therefore didn't have cars lived in the area we needed. In the printouts, we were able to find only one sedan located in that area. Its license plate had an abbreviation that matched one of the names in the book. We managed to find the approximate address of the house we needed, but how do we get there? How dangerous is it to leave the city, and will Donovan allow it? I need to talk to the general. She'll listen to him. Only after walking through several empty corridors did I realize that I didn't know where Dimitri lived. Nick has already left for lunch, and I don't want to go into the cafeteria. I stopped and looked around. I went to the window and looked down. Several soldiers were standing by their cars, animatedly talking about something. A couple of scientists walked past them, dressed in colorful raincoats hastily pulled over their white coats. I flinched from the sharp sounds of gunfire that sometimes came either very close to the base or somewhere far away. A monster flying in the sky won't surprise anyone here. As I walked away from the window, I suddenly recognized Anna among the scientists. They're going to the next wing. If I catch up with her, I'll be able to ask how to find Dimitri. A window blew down the corridor, and I noticed a piece of paper that flew up to my leg. What's this? Path of high adaptability. Picking the find up from the floor, I straightened the sheet and froze in bewilderment. A magazine clipping. There were similar ones in my room, only they looked noticeably older. But this one looks like it was torn out recently. The drawing on it is clear, and the letters aren't smudged. Without letting go of the paper, I looked around. The corridor was empty. Where did you come from? Although, isn't this just trash blown by the window from the destroyed wing? Trying to think rationally, I let go of the piece of paper. No need to get distracted from the goal. The piece of paper was caught by a new gust, and soon it disappeared down the corridor. Following it with my gaze, I tore myself away from the window and went down into the yard. The right wing looked sad. Its upper part collapsed, and the lower part remained buried under the rubble. But it was in that wing where most of the base slabs were located. Getting ready to go into the rain, I tried to open the umbrella. It clicked but didn't budge. That's the last thing I need right now. Leaning the useless tool against the column, I held my forehead trying to calm myself. Ooh, he back.
Do you need help?
I looked up and saw a man towering over me, the same one who disappeared as soon as we got off the train. Holding an umbrella over me and smiling good-naturedly, he waited for an answer. He didn't seem to care at all about the fact that the others had declared him dead in absentia. I had to strain to remember his name. Jan? Where have you been all this time? Why didn't you come back to the train?
There are so many questions. They stopped me at the gate. They were asking me where the other guys were. A boring and tedious story.
Jan glanced down the corridors across from you.
Should I walk you home?
Looking at my barely usable umbrella, I agreed. We're gonna agree. Thank you. That would be good. Jan moved closer and we stepped into the rain.
Can an elite squad spare a raincoat or something better than this junk?
I didn't ask for anything myself. I took this umbrella from the guards on duty.
So they gave you the flimmiest one?
I actually didn't tell them before taking it. I'll have to return it.
Take mine. I'll take this one to them myself.
Why so kind? There was a pause. I raised my head to look at Jan and saw that he was looking at me too.
I don't know.
It was hard to tell if it was intentional or not, but when he smiled, his scar barely moved. It looks like it's held together with medical staples. It's hard to imagine under what circumstances a person would do something like that. Turning away, I shook my head. You don't have to. Without preamble, Jan asked.
Have you spoken to a cape?
Yes, thanks for helping.
No problem. Have you visited that estate yet?
This man rolling his eyes. I can't. I only found out its approximate location a couple of hours ago.
I see. How's your general?
Is this an interrogation? I can't tell if he's just being polite or if he has some personal interest in what's going on in the squad. He's feeling better.
Great, I'll meet him again.
As we approached the other wing, something fell on the umbrella. Jan tilted it and caught a flower rolling down the spoke.
Camellia.
So? He peered out from under the umbrella and looked out where it had fallen from.
Look, it's stem tangled in the wires. If the wind keeps tearing them apart, there'll be nothing left of the plant. Hold this.
Aww. I took the umbrella and looked at the flower. It was so fragile and cold. Jan jumped onto the stone wall and reached for the top of the bush. What are you doing?
Helping nature. Camellia only blossoms in winter and has no scent. I think they just forgot about it. Or they didn't want to mess with it. It's poisonous after all.
He wanted to get something out of his pocket, but he looked at me and changed his mind.
I forgot I don't have a knife with me. Although...
He changed hands, rummaged in his other pocket, and pulled out a metal bank card that gleamed brightly even in the dim light. Did ordinary people have those? Who was this guy in his past life? With the thin edge, he cut loose the stems entangled in the wires, and they rose as if taking a breath. Looking at the bush, my gaze lingered on the pink buds. For some reason, I was pleased that they hadn't been forgotten. A poisonous, odorless flower that blooms in winter. It must feel lonely. I suddenly wondered, aren't you afraid of the poison?
No.
He raised his hand, lifting his coat sleeve.
I know how to handle it. Besides, my hands haven't felt anything for a long time.
His hands are bandaged entirely. How strange.
I hope they won't touch the bush again.
Jan smiled with one part of his mouth and jumped off. I suddenly heard the sound of heels in the hallway, and Anna came out of the corridor, tiredly taking off her white coat. Apparently she was done for the day and was returning to her room. Anna, wait! I turned to Jan to give him back the umbrella and the flower, but he was no longer there. Only pink petals remained where he had stood. Jan seemed like a strange but interesting person to you. Oh, where did he go now? I've got more important things to do. Without wasting time thinking, I hurried after Anna. The sooner we were able to leave for the old city, the better. Despite the acute shortage of vehicles, a large military jeep was found almost immediately for the elite Atom Squad. After alerting, I had new information about the order, which had hidden the book's torn pages, and I hurried to the general. An hour later, he was sitting behind the wheel, rushing the squad to the place I discovered. Greg was sitting next to Dimitri. With the help of several maps, he was trying to find landmarks through the rain. Some buildings were completely destroyed, road signs were missing, and the road was covered with cracks. Anna, sitting next to me with her legs crossed, laughed endlessly at Les's jokes. Kira and Noah, on the contrary, interrupted him, adding details to his story that seemed important to them. Like, we immediately are rushing off, every single one. The squad mostly ignored me, occasionally addressing me only for matters related to the search. I didn't think anyone could chat about running into the infected with such enthusiasm. I glanced sideways at the person sitting next to me. Well, except for Anna. Buildings at the darkened trunks of bare trees flashed past the window. The city disappeared behind the rain and the pervasive fog. Looking at the airy view, I felt uneasy, but Lester's cheerful voice didn't allow my thoughts to stray far. No one had visited the old part of Oxford for a long time. There were no people there, nor could there be, and the streets looked lonely and forgotten. It's hard to imagine that life was once in full swing here.
Right turn. Is there no way around? A pole fell here. Let me look.
Greg made a few marks on the map, then picked up the radio.
CAIN, can we go around the next corner? Is the road blocked? It's clear there.
And as always, the morals patrol the sky. Sadly, Dimitri backed up and turned onto the main road. The houses began to rush past again. After examining everyone in the car again, I noticed the general had gathered together only people I'd already worked with. A couple of the others who'd returned with us from Rotkov, while part of the squad weren't with us going to the old city. Of those I know, only Nick isn't here. Where did he disappear to? That even Greg couldn't find him. The car swayed to the side and Kira's heavy gaze fell on me. Noticing this, Lester caught it in time and moved it away. Nodding to me and without waiting for thanks, he continued his story. I love Lester. So this man, knows that a lot of people are still pissed at us and whatever. And this man is, trying to clear the situation for us so that we don't have to be worried about all this bullshit attitude that some people would have toward us.
You just didn't see how it was blown apart. Literally only a wet spot remained.
And Greg laughed. I only just tuned into the dialogue and didn't understand what they were talking about.
Be quiet and look around. You're all too relaxed. This area was cleared. It's unlikely that we'll run into anything else here. But we've never gone outside the city without special weapons before. I'll manage. There are plenty of shelters here, and besides, the base knows where we are.
I leaned back in the seat and listened to the squad's conversation. You know what?
On this wonderful note, I'd like some dinner. Kira, where did you put your dry rations?
Noah stuck his leg out, blocking Lester's path to the boxes.
No food. Everything spills out of your mouth. Well, here he goes again. What does it matter to you?
Anna looked at Kira and me, grinning conspiratorially. I think she finds their squabbles amusing.
If there's crumbs, there will be rats. Exactly.
Nodding gratefully to Anna, Noah adjusts his glasses in a businesslike manner.
They'll eat everything here. Donovan will make me dig through their shit again to replace the wiring. Okay, then I'll be careful.
Lester stepped over Noah's leg and tried to move forward, but he blocked his path again.
Remember what happened the last time you told me that? No, if you're not dead, it's unlikely to be anything serious.
Ooh!
Unfortunately.
Ooh!
I set my jacket on fire with a sparkler and it was incinerated. Even though I asked you 100 times to move away. Did that happen?
Anna, Greg, and Kira answered in unison. Yes. Lester rolled his eyes and shook his head. I can't.
Do you really not remember? I thought you didn't talk about it because you feel guilty. Because of you, I spent the whole winter in a bathrobe under a windbreak 3 sizes too big for me.
I heard the general's quiet laughter. His hand was casually resting on the steering wheel as he watched the road and listened to the squabbles of the squad. Can't. The relationship with the squad became warmer. Cute. That was the first time in a long time that Dimitri felt relaxed enough to be in the moment. Oh my god. The Walking Dead. Suddenly the car braked sharply.
Dimitri, what is it?
There's a child on the road. Everyone stopped, moving closer to the windshield. This gives off the vibes of the first girl you see in the opening scene of The Walking Dead. A little girl was standing right in front of us. She came out of the fog and blocked the roadway.
Do infected children exist? Why not? This is the first time we've encountered a child. She doesn't seem aggressive.
The carefree atmosphere instantly evaporated.
We haven't reached our destination yet. The immortals won't see us through the rain. They'll fly further. Increase the distance between us is dangerous. Contact them. Tell them to come down. What are we going to do with the kid? For now, we wait.
Wait for what? The radio crackled unpleasantly and the immortals didn't answer.
It's malfunctioning. Perfect timing.
Lester, who was standing right below the hatch, raised his head.
A shadow just flew by. They're still here.
He rushed to the window, rolled down the glass, and leaned out. Oh my god, son! Like, in my eyes again, they are like zombies. They rely on their hearing. They don't see that good, but they rely on their hearing. So the second that you scream, they exactly know where you are and they're gonna come for your ass. Like screaming out their names so that you can actually show your location is the stupidest thing you could have done.
CAIN, Bylan, we're stopping. The radios are down.
Dad!
Lester, no!
That was a strange sound and Lester promptly arced forward unnaturally. He climbed out of the window. Almost halfway, his arm slid off the frame and swung limply in the wind, as if something was lifting him from the other side.
Pull him inside now!
What is going on? Noah and I, who were the closest to the door, grabbed his legs.
Shit.
Something forcefully yanked the silent Lester out of the window. An indistinct dark silhouette pulled him into the impenetrable shroud of rain, dragging him on the asphalt. There's no time to think. Either he's going to be killed or we're going to save Lester right now. Grabbing the handle, I opened the door and ran out. Opened the door, blocked the door. I don't know.
Honestly, this should be like a moment where I'm like, stupidity killed the cat. So this is like his karma.
he had to like stick his neck out and now he's falling out like he should die. But you know what? Let us be considered heroes. We can't let him die. I mean, we can, but you don't want to. You care about the fate of other people. Opening the door, I jumped down onto the road. A second before the shadow disappeared from sight, I saw it. If I waited even a moment, it would have been impossible to see where Lester was being dragged. The passage to the backyard between the houses. Shouting out the location to the others, I ran ahead as fast as I could. I'm sorry. Is someone actually dragging him away? I thought, I don't know. Maybe they're driving too fast or something, like a current is like completely making this man like fly away or something, but someone is actually dragging him out? One by one, the rest of the squad jumped out of the car after me. This is creepy on so many levels. I followed the red trail. I was quickly being washed away by the endless rain, so he's even bleeding. Jumping over small debris, I prayed I wouldn't slip and fall. Wiping the drops from my eyes, I ran. I tried to make out at least something among the blurry silhouettes around me. I'm falling behind. I don't know where to run anymore. Turning the corner, I took a few more strides and froze. Oh my god, he did. So he was actually dragged away by an infected. No. I tried to move, but my legs wouldn't obey. A tendril had wrapped itself around Lester's neck tightly. A little more pressure and his head would be cut off. Swallowing, I looked around. A destroyed fence lay next to me. I mean, I'm sorry. Even if we would get that bitch off Lester, would he even survive? I mean, at least not for me. It's unclear how this disease is spreading. It's unclear to me how people become infected. So, how do we know that Lester is not already infected? But on the other side, we don't know if Lester is one of the few miracles that is actually immune. So I guess we would have to go with dealer's choice. Like 50-50 chance. If we get this bitch off Lester, he may survive, he may not. Stepping on the rusty railing with my foot, I pulled one of the bars toward me. Or eyes. Say hello to the darkness. This is hashtag CAIN, y'all, because he also has those red eyes. Just don't move. Mentally controlling the infected, I slowly crept closer. We actually have the power to control the infected? Putting the rebar in front of me step by step, I closed the distance, not taking my eyes off him. Stand still, creature. Making it to Lester, I pulled the rod forward and crouched down, trying to open the clasp on Lester's gun holster. My head is splitting. I think I'm about to faint. Oh shit. That means that also our control with that bitch is gone. So, goodbye, everyone. I swayed to the side. My consciousness couldn't withstand the unusual load and my strength began to leave me. The infected, having regained control over his body, jerked sharply. Yep. At the last moment, managing to get the pistol out, I shot the creature in the heart. Ooh. So this is actually how you can do it? Like, the infected actually dies when you shoot them in the heart? It fell and burgundy black liquid pooled under my feet. Oh! I reached for Lester, wanting to free him from the dead man's grip when something knocked me off my feet. Falling to the ground, I slid across a collapsed awning right onto the pitted soil that had once been someone's perfect lawn. Another infected bent over me. Like, of course, I mean, we are, like, using a gun right now, so the gunshot would attract other infected. I tried to move, but it seemed that the previous fight had taken too much energy. My body didn't obey me at all, and my head was buzzing unbearably. The infected swung, and I instinctively cringed. No blow followed. Opening my eyes, I saw a dirty puddle beneath me, in which the silhouette of the demon hunter was visible. The corpse of the infected lay at his feet. Huh? So no gunshot, yet he was capable to take care of the infected. How? Are you using fringes, sir? A scarlet maple leaf fell into the water, making it ripple. The outlines of the letters were suddenly reflected in it. Raising my head, I met the gaze of a stone bust crowning the turf. A brooch was carved on the label of the jacket, exactly replicating the insignia of the order. It seems we found what we were looking for. Well, what can we do? Like, I would assume that Lester is dead still. What can I tell you? But, wow, this episode was another interesting thing. I don't know what to say. I just feel like I fucked up. Like, if some of you in the comment section actually play CAIN's Rude and you didn't choose the romantic options with Greg, tell me if the scene between CAIN and our character is differently after the night where you can actually spend time with Greg or not. But there's not much to say right now. Like, I'm baffled. I'm actually now so into the story again, and now it's over again. Like, I hate it. But we will see. Please tell me in the comments if you want me to continue with the Song of the Crimson Nile, or if you want me to actually make up for the episodes that I missed / didn't play from the spin-off Call of Darkness, Flame of Samsara. Because I think there are 6 episodes that I've missed so far, but a lot of you didn't react to it, so I assumed that you all didn't want me to continue, so I stopped. So let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video with me. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in another video. Bye.